Here's some things that I do when things get really difficult inside of my company. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Claudio, owner of WinRate Consulting, host of the Big Stud Podcast, and your favorite YouTube star. Maybe not, but if you're not subscribed, I'd prefer that you do, because I've actually proven 87% of you are not subscribed to the channel. I have analytics that tells me that, which means you're a taker. Just subscribe. I give you value. Just subscribe. One little click. This one's gonna hurt. This how things manage, how I manage when things get tough in the business. I will tell you right now, we are recording this January 11th. I have no idea when this is getting released, but the first week of January was the hardest leadership week of my life. And I've been a leader for a long time, and I've been leading this company for a long time. Before that, I was the captain of a sports team or whatever. I've been leading people for a long time, and the first week of January was the most difficult leadership week. I built some strategies that were not attainable and then built an environment where people felt like they needed to be perfect. And this is an example. I'm gonna tell you how I've kind of overcame them so that you can look at some things and make some comparisons in your own world. So we run a high performance environment. Our coaching staff's high performers, our client base are high performers, and in general, our operations staff are high performers. And what I built was strategies, game plans, and perspectives based on high performance. And how that was interpreted by the staff was that mistakes were unacceptable, even though I've never yelled at anybody, but they just believe the standard is set so high that if you're making a mistake, you just don't belong. And ultimately, I had to fire and reallocate and move some people around. So as many of you know, Tiff, my wife, has worked for me for the last 2 years after I, quote unquote, retired her from corporate America. And last week I had to fire my wife. And not because of failure, but because of her inability to accept that she was overwhelmed and could not execute the game plan as it was developed. And what that did was it created stress amongst the entire operations team. All of them broke in the same day for different reasons at different times. You want to talk about a long day, have like an entire group of employees break in front of you at different times for different reasons. And the emotion, because I care about my people, I care about my clients, I care about my coach, I care about my operations staff. Like, I truly love these people. And if you've worked with me, you know that. And that hurt, and it hurt bad because I knew it was my fault. And I knew that all they were trying to do was live up. And ultimately, I put too much on everybody's plates. And none of them had, we'll say, the opening, the comfort level, the belief that they could come and express, I failed, and not be minimized as a part of the team. And so learning through this, I had to basically, we'll say, demote Tiff to mother, because that's what she really wanted to be. We homeschool our kids, and blending that life, family, we work from home. Like, this is my house. We work from my house because it's just not time for me to get an office yet. I'm not ready for that, and the business doesn't need it. And so the employees come here on a regular basis. We shoot content here, and so the family in my business is just one world. And so Tiff was trying to balance it all. That example she set had Alicia, Mia, and Lindsay also trying to balance everything and break a little bit on the inside. And so what had to happen and how I had to overcome this challenge and what I did when this thing got difficult was sit down and analyze and adjust. I think so many people out there analyze and adjust before implementing. The problem with doing that is you don't get a lot done. The problem with taking action quickly and implementing quickly is you're gonna get it wrong sometimes. And I got it wrong. And last week was one of the hardest, most emotional weeks I've had in a long time, because I also had to let one of our coaches go. I didn't want to do that. It was just, it needed to happen due to some value misalignment. Great dude, incredibly intelligent, brought a lot of value on things he did know, but unfortunately just did not carry the same values as other members of the team and ultimately the mission. And the mission has to come first. And so I say all that to say, when things get hard and you as the leader's job is to make the tough decisions, it's your job to have the hard conversations. If not you, whose job is it to do those things? And the way that I analyze that and the way I look at it and the way that I take action so quickly is I have a mantra, and I've been saying this for a long time, is nothing comes above the mission, including you as the leader. Because the minute you start allowing your emotions to become more important or more valuable or more, whatever you want to call it, than the mission, you're saying, well, I feel this way, so I'll wait till tomorrow. That's you putting you above the mission. Your emotions, your insecurities, your fears, your lack of experience, your lack of communication skills, your lack of expectations setting, you're putting you above the mission. So when the mission has to come first and you're watching people around you struggle, you have to take action. And so analyzing and adjusting of what led to the problem. So if I've had the first, telling a story to tell a lesson, what led to the problem? What led to the problem after having conversations and analyzing the situation was too much on everybody's plate without giving them an outlet to discuss lack of performance or feeling overwhelmed or feeling they're letting the mission down. We had a lot of team meetings. I'm very big on meetings, but what I didn't do, and it was purely because of just lack of time or lack of priority or whatever you want to call it, I fucked up because I did not make time to give these people an opportunity to have a free space to communicate that they were feeling overwhelmed or failing. So I analyzed, okay, I gave everybody too much and I did not give them a weighted outlet. So I took things off people's plates. So I moved Tiff out of position. I moved Mia into position. I took some things off of Alicia. I realigned priorities with Lindsay, and I got everybody back into a role. Especially in a small business, you have a lot of people wearing a lot of different hats, and you just believe because you can and you can carry it all as the business owner, they can too. False. That's why lanes are so important, roles, responsibilities are so important, and ultimately having the ability to hold people accountable to staying in their lane is so important. So, problem. Analyzed it, made quick adjustments, as painful as that was. Like, I love having Tiff in the business. I love having her part of the events. I love having her part of the mission we've built so far, but ultimately what got us here won't get us there. And our desire to homeschool our children, our lack of ability to find a qualified nanny, has us with our children without somebody to really care for them. And we tried really diligently to do that, and I think the stress of the kids, or Tiff feeling like the kids were under supported, and her feeling overwhelmed in her role inside the business, she broke. And I broke watching her break. But the activity or the action item or the process that I follow was determine the problem, analyze what needs to happen to do it, and take aggressive action. In this case, the mission. What's the mission? Our mission at WinRate Consulting is to simplify and systemize the growth of home service companies by having an impact with every conversation we have. That's our mission statement. And so I had to take aggressive action to realign ourselves with the mission. I had to take myself out of it, no matter how much that hurt, no matter how painful, no matter how hard those conversations were, no matter how much she cried or I cried in the conversation, realizing that we were having to pivot away from what I built, the way I built it was hard, and it sucked. And it's one of the most difficult conversations I've ever had as a leader. You know, firing a coach is one of the most difficult conversations I've had as a leader. And ultimately, it all came back to this single statement. The mission has to come first. And what action do I need to take? What hard conversation do I need to have? And what do I need to do to make sure that the mission continues to be successful? 100% of the time, as your mission evolves, the mission statement needs to stay intact. And for you to do that, you're going to have some very difficult conversations, because what got you here is not going to get you there. It never will. It never has. And no matter what you do as you continue forward, what's happening right now and the next decisions you make at some point will also need to be analyzed and adjusted based on the way the mission is evolving to make sure the mission statement stays at the top priority. But then you just have to take the action. You have to trust yourself that you're making the right decisions based on a clear heart, a full mind, and an approach that has alignment to the core values in the mission statement. If you can do that, whether people disagree with you, people freak out, people get fired and aren't happy with it, that's going to happen, because it's not their job to uphold the mission. It's their job to uphold their mission, and they're hurt by whatever decision you made. But ultimately, you have to lay your head down at night and realize that what are you doing to make sure that the mission stays protected, including taking action in the face of your own emotion. It's one of the hardest things to do as a leader, is to put yourself aside to make sure the mission comes first. So that's an example, it's a story, it's a process that I follow, but ultimately you have to decide, first off, what is your mission? If you don't have that clearly defined, this process won't work. But ultimately look at objectively, take your emotion out of it, and look at what needs to happen in this situation to realign the problem to a solution that supports the mission. I'm not sure that clearly defines exactly what you need to do, but I hope that gives you some guidance as to you're not the only one dealing with it. I think a lot of people look at me and say, oh, that guy's got it together. The hell I do. I make mistakes, I fail every day with intention and with protection and with accountability and with checks and balances, but ultimately I have to make hard decisions all the time to make sure that my mission is protected. What are you doing to make sure that you, your company, and your mission can continue to win fast and win often?